All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. All right, so I just did a video talking about Teofimo Lopez and Richard Comey. It was a reaction video. If you haven't seen that, make sure you check that video out too. It was a great second round stoppage. So check that out. Talking about this fight, and I'm a little late. It's kind of late. Um, Listen, Bud is my favorite active boxer. He's my favorite. All right, my personal favorite. Now he still receives criticism from time to time. He's just that's the way I give it up. But it's been a long time since I've really been nervous about a Bud fight. Now I knew Bud was gonna win this fight. You guys saw my video on this. I wasn't worried too much, but by the time the fight started, I was worried because the guy had power. I knew Velasquez was a big puncher. So fighters like that are always dangerous. But I said Bud's superior boxing ability was going to be too much for Velasquez. All right, this is what I was saying. His movement, his angles, all that stuff, too much. His ability to switch up, not just stances or anything like that, but the ability to make adjustments each round was one of Crawford's, biggest strengths. So I figured, whatever it took, he would figure it out. But Crawford, first couple rounds, slow rounds, but he was just trying to figure it out. And shout out to Andre Ward because his commentary is usually on point, but it was very on point tonight. Because everything that I was thinking he was saying, Crawford fights with emotion sometimes. And I feel like while I'm watching this fight, he was getting frustrated at the fact that Velasquez wasn't really coming forward. He was fighting on a safe tip. He wasn't as aggressive as he normally is. He really wasn't that aggressive against Ray Robinson neither. But for this fight, he was extremely patient, more patient than Crawford. Now, I've seen Crawford get touched up some, right? You guys remember my reaction video to the Amir Khan fight. I felt like after that first round that, Crawford was just coming forward a little too heavy, and he was getting touched up a bit more than he needed to. He was taking some unnecessary shots from Khan, even though he didn't respect Khan, didn't get hurt or anything. I thought it was just unnecessary, right? But that was me just just being overly critical about him. That's just the way I am, especially if I like you. And then you've seen in the Jose Benavidez fight too, where Jose was doing his thing. Like he was setting up some good counters, right? And Bud has some little issues there. And even if you go back to the Tomas Delorme fight, Delorme was doing his thing early in that fight. There's other fights where Gamboa won like the first 4 rounds. It wasn't until Crawford switched it up, went lefty. That's when he started to do his thing. Even against, I'm just naming every fight, Hank Lundy. Even in that fight, he was getting touched up a little bit those couple of rounds. But something about this fight was different. Crawford decided in the 3rd round that he wanted to brawl it out with this guy that had a much bigger punch than he does. A guy that we knew was durable before this fight. He's a tough dude. He's never been knocked down as an amateur or pro. Bud made the decision to not only stay fighting lefty for the majority of the time, but he wanted to bang it out with this puncher. And I'm saying to myself, why? Now, was it entertaining? Oh, hell yeah. But I was sitting there watching the fight, nervous, sweating, because I'm like, Crawford's going to get knocked out. We saw what happened to AJ earlier this year. I'm like, oh my God, the last thing we need right now, and the first thing a lot of people want, there's a lot of guys that's on the PBC side that would love Crawford to get knocked out. Because That's what kind of fans are out there now. They're network fans now. I want Bud to win because I'm a fan and because I want him to fight these PBC guys. I mean, if he loses to Spence, I'm cool with that loss, but I'm not cool with losing to Kavalaskis. Because even though I know this guy is dangerous, the public don't believe so because they never heard of him before. And Bud is falling into his trap. And he took a right hand and he fell down. Now it got ruled a slip. It's debatable. I knew before I knew when he fell down, I wasn't sure that 1 second of thinking that I had. I said, I don't know where the ref is going to go with this. Is he going to count that? Is he going to score it as a knockdown? Is he going to score as a slip, being that he was holding on to his opponent? It could have been easily scored as a knockdown. Easily. Even if you're holding on, it could have been easily scored as a knockdown. But regardless, Crawford was hurt. And he got hit with a lot of other right hands outside of that. And he didn't care. He fought like an idiot. He fought. This was the most reckless I've ever seen him. It's one thing to fight reckless because there's other fights where he doesn't fight reckless. I expected him to take the same approach that he took against Victor Postal. He fought a very safe fight to the end there. He had his moments where he brought the pressure in and started to make a fight out of it. But for the most part, he fought a safe fight. He also fought a safe fight against the Dominican fighter that had that close fight with Lamont Peterson. Can't think of his name right now. But very dangerous opponent. Crawford fought a very strategic fight. But I know one thing out of those fights, and even though he got the stoppage against that fighter, he didn't against Postal. But I knew a lot of people criticized him for Postal fight. They said the fight was boring because he fought too safe. So I understand from his, I understand from his end why you want to make it a good fight. You want to please the crowd and stuff. But I think in this fight specifically, you fight smart. And even though it was a great matchup, it was a very fun fight to watch. He put all his cards on the table. High risk. He fought a high risk fight with a high risk fighter and didn't have to. I don't think at this point he should be doing that. But he doesn't, a lot of guys like for example, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman always said that he wasn't afraid to lose his O. Now, perception of him is a lot different, but back then it sounded great. I believed him. We started calling him a throwback fighter and all that stuff. He didn't prove anything yet, but it sounded good at the time. All right, let's just say that. I think Spence is legit crazy. Not Spence. I think Crawford is legit batshit crazy. Like, I really believe that he doesn't care about losing. I don't think he believes. He is so confident and he really loves to fight. He's this good technical boxer. Right? He has this great lateral movement. He has good defense. He knows how to read opponents. He knows how to make adjustments. He knows how to do all of this stuff. And he's a great technician. Yet he has the mind of a brawler for some strange reason. Tim Bradley was the same way. Like, we seen Tim Bradley when he fought Marquez. Right? He outboxed Marquez, right? Won a pretty, close fight. I mean, competitive fight, but I thought it was pretty clear that Tim won that fight, right? But then you fight a guy like Provodnikov, where Provodnikov is definitely the dangerous fighter, yet you want to brawl it out for him. For whatever reason, This was a like the same kind of fight, not as extreme because that was a classic fight. That was an absolute classic. That was a war. But Bud was trying to make that kind of fight. Yet Kavaliauskas didn't engage. He would at points, but he still fought the smarter fight, which is strange. Now he couldn't hold up, obviously the pressure, Bud. And I think at some points, I think it was the seventh round when Bud really started to close the gap, and I think he temporarily went righty for a little bit. He started to close a gap and started to keep the fight very close. And I think that pressure, mentally drew off Kavaliauskas. That's how he won the fight. So I think when Crawford was doing that, I think that was good, right? He closed that gap. But when he was just staying mid range, long range, and just kind of stepping into those right hands by Kavaliauskas, I think at that point I was like, dude, what are you doing? Are you trying to are you trying to get knocked out here? You know? It was extremely reckless, man. And I know we want entertainment. Like, it's great to watch a good entertaining fight. That was very entertaining. But some people you don't do that with, especially punchers like that. You don't go in a war with Deontay Wilder. You don't do it. You just don't do it. You know what Wilder can do. You know what the right hand. You don't put yourself in danger of the right hand purposely. And that's what Crawford did in this fight. I don't know what it is, but I think if Crawford has a weakness, I think I don't know what's going on in his head right now. I see his interviews and he tries to play it off like the PBC thing ain't really bothering him. I don't know, but it seems like it is frustrating. It seems like he's just going in these fights. He's trying to get a stoppage. I'm not mad at him doing it, but I don't want him to be reckless about it. You are a good technical fighter. Do it, but be smart. Break your opponent down like you normally would. You are not a brawler. You are not a brawler. But he likes to fight that way. He's crazy. He's a nutcase. He's a psycho. He is. That's all I learned about him tonight. He is legit like crazy. And much respect to Kavaliauskas. Because I think he could beat a lot of top fighters. He fought a very crafty fight. I was impressed with his timing, his counters. I like the way he was slipping shots and landing that right hand, fighting on the back foot at times. I think he could beat some of these top fighters. And I would love to see what he can do in the future. He really got earned my respect. And I know he was stopped, but it took a lot for him, to get stopped. And even when he was down on the ground, and I don't, even though he went down a couple times, it's still, even at the very end, it looked like he could have kept fighting. It's just that Bud's pressure was enormous. Um, Bud gave a post-fight speech, and you can tell again he's very frustrated. He didn't say any names, but he said, "You guys know who I want to fight. It's just all about getting them in the ring." Well, if you can't get those guys again, if you can't get Porter, I would love to see the Porter fight. I think he matches up very well against Sean Porter. Uh, and I think if he were to fight Porter, I think he would do better than Spence did. Uh, if not, fight Kell Brook. Let's see if we can try to work on that. If you can't get Porter, try to get Kell Brook in there. I know people are going to say, well, Kell already lost to Spence. So what? Still a good fighter. Uh, so try to get Kell Brook in there. Try to let's see who else is out there. You still got Jesse Vargas still out there. He's not a PBC guy. That's a possible fight to be made. Best Putin is another guy that's out there. Um, he's on the come up. He's good. I know that's gonna be another guy that people with agendas will probably say he's trash, but that's the time we're living in. This guy fights good fighters. They might not be as popular as others, but they're all good. But hopefully we can get Sean Porter. I don't think it's gonna be Errol Spence. Errol's probably gonna be out for a little while, even if he does return. And I wouldn't want Spence to fight Bud on his first fight back. I already said that in the video. I want Spence to come back and not even fight Danny Garcia. I mean, if he chooses to, that's on him. But I want Spence to have a tune-up, me personally, just in case, even if he is well. But we'll see. Bob is saying differently. Bob is saying that he's going to be out, may not come back. We'll see. Uh, but yeah, let's see what Bob can do. Let's see if old Bob could work some magic. Hopefully he can. And that's what he's supposed to do. He's a promoter, so he needs to work something out. You also got Virgil Ortiz Jr., who was at 147 and he's tearing shit up. These are all good fights for Bud. All right. Or, maybe later in the year, maybe he can fight the undisputed champion at 140 if they are to move up to 147. Whether it's Josh Taylor or uh, Jesus Christ. It's late. I can't think of his name. Jose Ramirez. All right, so I'm gonna go take a nap, man. Uh, it's like a love hate. Like I love the fight, but I love the fight, but I hated the strategy to it. There was none, you know. But it was a good, entertaining fight, and I'm glad that Bud still won. All right. Uh, hopefully we can see him look better in the next fight, whoever he decides to fight. All right. So anyway, that's my video, man. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.